morning and welcome to Morning Moments. Thank you for joining us today. Today I have another filmmaker. He is from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and he is an award-winning filmmaker. It is my pleasure to bring to Morning Moments Andrew Bullard the fourth to Morning Moments. Welcome, Andrew.
Hey, I'm so glad to be here. This is awesome.
Yeah. What do you do and why do you do it?
Yeah, so I'm a filmmaker, director, actor, writer. I even do music. I'm a minister as well. So it's kind of crazy how I got involved with filmmaking because I really feel like the genesis of that is me getting into music. So I started doing music about 12 years ago in the church. Like I did writing and stuff on the side, but the church kind of presented an opportunity when my father came to us because my father's a pastor. And some of the deacons were like, you and your brothers and your cousin are going to be junior deacons. And it was like non-negotiable. So we were like, oh, so we're going to be junior deacons. Okay. So one of the duties of being a junior deacon was doing devotion at the church once a month. And, you know, we just did it like the way the other deacons did it. And they would sing some traditional hymns and, you know, we do it, and, you know, some of the older members would laugh because, you know, they're used to seeing the other deacons do it and stuff like that. And I was like, you know, we need to do something that's us, you know, something that fits our generation. So then I had the bright idea of doing Christian rap songs, and I had the other bright idea of not really giving the church that good of a warning that we were going to do that. So we do it one Sunday, and man, everybody was into that program because everybody was acting like they were not there. So we did it the first Sunday, and it was a rough experience, but, you know, I didn't stop there. We kept doing it, and eventually the church kind of caught on to what we were doing. So, but it also, like, during the periods of time when they weren't really getting it, it made me kind of take music serious and find another audience for it online. So I started putting out project after project, year after year, and was doing it for a good while, you know what I mean? And back in about 2018, I had a cousin that challenged me because we were talking about Christian film and stuff like that. And then she wondered why I hadn't really got involved in that space because she knows that I love film and that I like to act. I would act in a lot of the church plays and stuff like that, and even in high school acting and stuff like that. So, you know, I kind of thought, I was like, you know what, why don't I tie one of my music projects to a film project? So when I got that idea, then I came up with the short film Ain't Got All Right. So it was a short film about 28 minutes long, and I had an accompanying soundtrack to go with it. And, you know, I just, you know, put my all into it. It was a little bit based on me. And, you know, we really got a good response, got into a lot of film festivals. And then now we're here with Access Control. I got a buddy cop film about two security guards that are complete opposites that have to get along to solve a case. And that's finally out now on Prime Video and Christian Cinema. So it's been a long time coming. So, but I really think the real beginning of the journey, of course, is when I got saved. And even though my father was a pastor, of course, he instilled a lot of the word in me. My mom did as well. She became a minister later on. But like my mom, like she always says, I was doing devotions with you when you were in the womb. And I was like, oh man, you know, and she's serious because, you know, she did the same thing with my siblings. But, you know, I got saved at like when I was 5 years old, and she was, you know, we had devotions every morning before going to school and going out, and to the point where I would go on the bus, and I had a friend that was on the bus, and I would be telling him everything that I learned in devotion. So, you know, he was getting my devotion, even though he wasn't getting one at home. I was saying, hey, let me tell you what Moses did today. You know, I'm just breaking it down like it had just happened yesterday, you know. So, you know, so early on, I didn't realize that, what God had set in place for me to do. So, but I always, you know, with being in a strict household, because not only was my father a minister, he was also a military man too. So it was a strict household growing up. But, you know, my mom, she was the one who didn't play. But, she really kept a monitor on what we watched, what we listened to. So I always really enjoyed to have, you know, good quality Christian music, good quality, you know, Christian TV and film. So, you know, later on, it was always a passion of mine to be like a producer or something, or to be involved in that space. So I wouldn't think that I would be actually, you know, rapping and making the music. I wouldn't think I'd be actually the one to be directing the, you know, the movies and stuff like that. But that's what God had in place. So, you know, I just kind of had to grow with it. So, but I think with the opposition that you know, that I've been met with at certain times, and a lot of times you don't realize that it can come from anywhere. It could even come from family members. It can come from friends, people in the church. You know, a lot of times the people that you think that would be front and center with the pom-poms sometimes are the people that are giving you the hardest time. So I think those times really, you know, challenge you to make you realize, why do I do this? You know what I mean? Because if you're doing it for selfish gain or just to look good and, you know, all those other kind of reasons, you're definitely going to quit along the way, because it's, you know, it's just not worth it to go through some of the things that you go through. So, and sometimes, you know, you'll feel like that there was people that should have responded to something that you did or should have been excited, and they're not. But you got to realize that, hey, I'm doing this for the Lord. I'm doing this to bring people to Christ. And, you know, there's been so many little moments along the way that, you know, have just been a reminder. And sometimes, you know, it'll just be that one person that just leaves a comment and says that, hey, man, your music helped me to keep going when I didn't want to keep going. And then that's just like, okay, you know what I mean? It's a good reminder of like, hey, this is why I'm doing this. So, you know, that's one of the main things that I always try to keep close to me. And, you know, doing the film project, man, it was so fun doing this last one. Because I say with Ain't Got All Right, it was kind of a sad story, I guess you could say, because it's about this character who's really down on his luck. He just lost his job, just lost his girlfriend, and, you know, he's just trying to get back on, you know, solid ground really in the whole film. So until the end is, you know, it's kind of a dark, you know, film. So I kind of want to do something more lighthearted this time around. So and then I came up with the idea to do a buddy cop film. So I was like, okay. And then I used to work security when I had one of those hard jobs back in the day, and I worked night shift locally at the hospital. So I kind of like, well, I can have a little fun with that, and, you know, have a little buddy cop film. So that's what was really the inspiration behind the film Access Control. But I really want to explore valuing the people that God puts into your life. And a lot of times with jobs, we've all had jobs where we didn't necessarily really want to be there, but, you know, God had you there for a certain reason. And I think a lot of times with all the different jobs that I've had, I've really been able to connect with people, and it's really a good time to, you know, to minister to people. And, you know, one of the jobs I had as well growing up when I was in high school and in college was Captain D's. And, you know, working there, a lot of people struggling, a lot of people I used to get rides to and stuff like that. I was like, man, my dad just said I had to get a job. I didn't think I'd be doing all of this. But, you know, sometimes you realize that God had you there for a reason. And there is, you know, after the time passed when I wasn't working there anymore, this one of the guys I worked with said, man, you don't really know how much of an impact you made working there. You know, you really helped me to get closer to Christ. And it's like, man, we were just making fish, you know, but sometimes you don't realize you're doing some fishing there. So that was one of the things I kind of wanted to explore with the film. Like my character in the film is a newlywed whose marriage is on shaky ground. He's got a lot of issues, kind of lazy, got a wandering eye. And then I run into this character, Randy, who's an ex-detective that's really closed off to the world, you know, really just to himself, comes into work with his Bible, but, you know, sometimes you wonder if he's really reading what's inside of there, because he doesn't even say hi to people when he comes in. So, but there's really something that both of our characters can get from each other and can gain from each other. And, you know, in this time that we live in right now, sometimes we're so divided, but, you know, there's so many things that we can get from one another. You know what I mean? We can really learn a lot from one another. And that was one of the things I really wanted to just dive into with this film. And that a lot of times, you know, something that you're really wanting in your life or waiting on, you know, you got to get out of your own way sometimes. And that's something I've really learned in my life too. You know, there's been times where, like, whether it be graduating from college or just trying to find the right job. And a lot of times you can be your own worst enemy, and you just got to surrender to God's will. So, we've been blessed to make this film. It was definitely a journey I remember when I first had the idea, my fiance, was my girlfriend at the time, was like, you want to do a movie about 2 security guards working in a hospital with COVID going on? And I was like, well, yeah, I do. So, but we were, even though I had to call a whole bunch of different facilities asking like, hey, can we use your location? I even called where I go to the doctor, and they said no. I'm like, man, I need a new doctor. But I kept the same doctor. But eventually one of the local universities let us use their facility, and we were able to really get the ball rolling after that. But I find it funny though that each time I do a film, I feel like the main messages in the film I have to learn over and over again during the process. So, so like during this film, I really had to learn to value the people that, I was working with, the cast, the crew, and everybody. So, and, with Ain't God All Right, I feel like the message was, you have to just hang in there sometimes when adversity comes. And there was a whole lot of adversity within making that film. So I definitely plan to continue to make more films, make more music. There was also a soundtrack with Access Control as well. So, you can check that out. It's available on streaming platforms everywhere. So, but it's, it's been a journey, but man, it's been a blessing with all the different people I've been able to meet, and just being able to walk in God's purpose and do what I believe he's called me to do. So it's been awesome.
That's fantastic. I was thinking, when you were talking, I was thinking of a T.D. Jakes quote that I read one time. If you can't figure out your purpose, figure out your passion. For your passion will lead you right into your purpose.
Yeah.
And so often people are trying to look what their purpose is. And you think about, well, what did God give you as a passion to begin with? Is it music? Is it film? Is it whatever? And right there is the answer quite often of what we should be doing. And once you find that and you move forward, there's so much satisfaction in knowing that you're doing what God's really put in your heart to do.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I started doing music back in like 2008. And I feel like God called me to preach a couple of years after that. But I think the fact that I was already working and already doing something, it made it an easier transition, when you're already out there. So like you said, if you have a passion, what I mean, get to work. And then, when God speaks, you'll be ready to work. So a lot of times, God's waiting on us. We act like we're waiting on him, but he's already moved.
Fantastic. I'm going to put down below contact information where you can find out what Andrew's working on now and what he's worked on in the past, where you could find the distribution of these films, and also if you need to get a hold of him, if you're in the film industry and want to get a hold of him and maybe audition for the next film he's doing, or whatever that God has for you. More important than any of that, although that's important, and many of you that watch this know what I'm going to say next, I want you to be praying for Andrew. Pray that God would continue to use him, put him in the right place at the right time to get the message out, and also to get this passion that he has out of his soul and onto the film that he's doing. Andrew needs your prayers, and you need the practice. So pray that God would continue to work with him. Andrew, thank you so much for being on Morning Moments.
Hey, thank you, Andy. Us Andrews got to stick together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you for joining us on Morning Moments. And if you would, please keep coming back, and may God richly bless you.